Thanks for clicking on this video on how to use LinkedIn more effectively. I want to start off with the two biggest mistakes that I see people make on LinkedIn. Number one is they are constantly trying to connect to as many people as they can without any real reason. Just because somebody breathes air or is a human being doesn't mean you need to be connected to them on LinkedIn. So many people think it's a numbers game. I talked to a person recently who was trying to sell to me and he wanted to do some marketing for my company. And he told me, I've added 3,000 people to my LinkedIn in the last 3 months. Well, who cares? If those people don't know you exist, they don't know who you are, and they don't really give a damn about you, why do I care that 3,000 people are getting spammed by you on LinkedIn? So don't just connect to everybody. My rule has traditionally been, I don't link to people on LinkedIn unless I've had a cup of coffee, a meal, or a beer with them. I actually call this the coffee, meal, or beer rule. Now, there are exceptions for that. If a meeting planner or someone from HR reaches out to me and wants to connect, I'm not stupid. Those are people who hire me. Of course, I'm going to accept their LinkedIn request. And sometimes I actually reach out to people who I know we really should be connected because we have a lot of people in common and we've overlapped in some way. We just haven't ever had a really big conversation. But for the most part, I don't want my LinkedIn clouded by a bunch of strangers who don't care that I exist. So the first thing is you don't have to link to everybody. Don't spray and pray LinkedIn invitations to all the people that you can meet. The second mistake that people make is as soon as they link to somebody, or maybe people they've been linked to for a while, or even worse, people they're not connected with, they send them direct messages that are just long pitches to buy their stuff. I don't go to LinkedIn and see the little thing that I have a message all excited that, oh my gosh, I hope this is spam from somebody who doesn't even know who I am or even care. So I have hosted my podcast for 7 years, and I am the paid podcast host for 4 other podcasts. Last week, I got a direct message, spam, salesy pitch thing that led off with, hey, Tom, have you ever thought about starting a podcast? And their company helped people start podcasts. They clearly had never read anything about me on my LinkedIn profile, or that's not what they would have said. So don't just DM everybody hoping you're going to get one person who will respond. Nobody cares about getting spam direct messages from you on LinkedIn. It's not what the tool was created for, and it's not going to create volume for you. So stop spamming people on LinkedIn. But what I'd like to share now is the 3 ways you can use LinkedIn effectively to make sure that you're going to be able to get more business, grow your reputation, and find more success in business. Number 1, make sure that you're posting regularly to LinkedIn. Every time someone logs on to LinkedIn, they will start to see their stream of who has posted. Now, there's an algorithm that controls who's going to see what you post. If you don't post very often, the algorithm doesn't really know if you're worthy of showing it to the people whom you are connected to. So just because you post every now and then doesn't mean anyone's really going to see your post. I'm connected to about, 5,000 people on LinkedIn. And yes, most of those people I have met and had a cup of coffee, a meal, or a beer with. And when I make a post, I'm lucky if that post is shown to 1,000 people. So realize that just because you're posting, the algorithm is making the decision as to who is going to see it. But you want to be posting regularly, not salesy about buy my stuff, but talking about things in business that are related to the product or service that you offer. Just want to remind people that you're out there fighting the good fight, doing the work. Don't make it all about you. Don't make it braggadocious, but make sure that you're posting something that is providing value to people on a regular basis. If you're not posting once, twice, or 3 times a week to LinkedIn, then out of sight is out of mind. Even if only a few people see it, you want to make sure that the chance is there for people to remember who you are and what you do so well. So start posting more often to LinkedIn. The second thing that you should be doing on LinkedIn is liking and commenting and sharing other people's posts. I will tell you, as someone who posts regularly, if you go to my LinkedIn and you leave a comment, or better yet, if you share that with your audience, I'm going to stop and notice that, which means if you're regularly commenting on things that people in your industry are posting, you're going to be remembered and thought of more often. Now, don't do what one person I know does, who is sort of a competitor, and he goes to people who do similar type things that he does. When they make a post, he then goes on and says, yes, in my work, here's what I do. Don't use other people's posts as a chance to talk about your products and service, especially if they're a competitor. That's just an asshat thing to do. However, if they say something that's worthy and smart, let them know why you think so and add to the conversation. But again, don't hijack their post to make it about your products and services. But be sure that you're liking and commenting and sharing when appropriate. Like everything, you could overdo this. But if you have a prospect or a client or a referral source who every now and then when you see that they post, you give them that little thumbs up or you leave that comment, they're going to think of you more often. And then the third way, I think the most important way that you should be utilizing LinkedIn every single day is never go to a meeting with a new client or a prospect or just someone you've never met before and never really had a conversation with without looking at their LinkedIn profile before you do. Now, most of the time, you're not going to find anything that's earth-shatteringly news to you. But every now and then you might find that you have a friend in common who is a really important friend, and it might be a good way to start a conversation saying, hey, I saw on LinkedIn that you and I both know Becky. How do you know her? And then you can talk about that. Sometimes people link to everyone who breathes air, so therefore they may not know who Becky is at all. But if there's a close relationship, that will allow you to fast forward your conversation. But more importantly, look at where have they worked in the past? What types of things are they posting? And where'd they go to college or other things that you can notice of things that they like or groups they belong to? Because what you're doing is looking for something in common. Now, sometimes people say, Tom, but I don't want to tell them I looked them up on LinkedIn. They have a LinkedIn profile. They know it's there for this purpose. And people do not think it's stalking if you look them up before a meeting. In fact, if you look them up before the meeting, I think most people find that as an endearing thing that you actually took the time to do your homework before you got on a call. There's nothing worse than scheduling a call with someone who really doesn't know who you are or what you do. It's as bad as that person trying to sell me information on basic podcasting. You really need to show the people that I was prepared to come and meet with you today. The best thing that ever happened to me is I was talking to an association about speaking at their event. And this was more of a technology-based organization. And I'm not a technologist. And I looked up the CEO of the association, and I noticed that he had gone to Carnegie Mellon University. And so when we got on the call, I told him in prepping for our call today, I saw that you went to CMU. He got all excited. He's like, oh my gosh, did you go to Carnegie Mellon? And my answer was no, but all my money did, because my older daughter is a graduate of the business school from Carnegie Mellon. He and I proceeded to talk about Pittsburgh, about the university for 30 minutes. In fact, we barely ever talked about what I would say on his stage as the keynote speaker for his conference, but we got along. We had something in common. We fast forwarded that relationship. And at the end of the call, he hired me to be the keynote speaker. Now, that doesn't happen every single time you look somebody up on LinkedIn, but you don't want to miss something that you have in common that can help make that conversation better. So for your business networking success, LinkedIn has to be an active part of it. But don't think it's something that you're just going to throw out sales pitches and people are going to come to you. In fact, if you do that, you're going to annoy the bejeebas out of other people. Instead, look at LinkedIn as a research tool and as a way to just keep that relationship that already exists alive by commenting on the things that people you know have posted. And then also making sure that you're posting about what you do and why you do it so well in a non-salesy value add type way. Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you would do me a favor, subscribe to the channel right down there. And let me know what other topics on business networking you'd like me to discuss, because I'm trying to add to this channel as often as I can with interesting little tidbits about why human connections matter and how you can create more uncommon connections.